When we came into the season, all the prognosticators actually picked us to be last in the conference, last in the division, and also last in the league, probably. And the one thing about that team that I've always admired was the fact that they never believed what was said about them, good or bad. Early in the year, when nobody believed them, they didn't think about it from a bad standpoint. When we started playing pretty well going, through the season, and they started saying some nice things about them, they didn't believe that either. So I have always said every coach needs to have one team like that because you remember them very, very well.
Indeed, and with their drive to the 1975 finals, Al Attles and his Warriors had surprised the NBA and captivated the fans in the Bay Area. But everybody figured the joyride would come to an end when they faced the Washington Bullets. That year, the Bullets had won 60 games and completely dominated the East. In fact, many predicted a sweep in the finals, and that's exactly what happened. But it turned out the Warriors were the ones wielding the broom.
So, with Boston eliminated, the Washington Bullets prepared to take on the Golden State Warriors. One thing was certain, there would be a new world champion in 1975. As the championship round began in Washington, it seemed the experts had been right. The Bullets jumped to a 16-point lead. But while the Capitol Center crowd prepared to celebrate again, the Warriors continued to battle. They caught the Bullets and won the opener. Games 2 and 3 were scheduled in the Cow Palace on the San Francisco side of the bay. Neither team had played there for several seasons. Once again, the Bullets jumped into an early lead. With less than 3 minutes to play in the first half, Washington led by 13 points. In that less than 3 minutes remaining, Rick Barry tossed in 10 points, closing the gap and giving the Warriors the impetus they needed. The Golden State captain also scored the first 2 baskets of the second half, and his teammates picked it up from there. Wilt, who would become Rookie of the Year, found his scoring touch. As the Bullets fought back, the Golden State defense tightened. The fans sensed it, the players sensed it. The momentum now was the Warriors. No, the momentum didn't swing over to Golden State. They went out and fought for it, worked for it, and won it. The Bullets had to be wondering what one had to do to beat the Warriors. They had held leads of 16 points in the first game and 13 points in the second game and lost them both. Warrior fans felt they had the answer. The fans were so jubilant that Warrior coach Al Attles had to display some of his playing day speed to keep ahead of them. 3 nights later, the scene was the same, but the scenario was not. This time, the Warriors did not fall behind. This time, only a few points separated the teams until the third period. Then the Warriors turned it on. Those experts who had been predicting a 4-game Washington sweep were beginning to think about the impossible. Not just a Golden State victory, but could the Warriors do the sweeping? That impossible dream came closer to being a reality as the Warriors took Game 3 and the teams winged to Washington. Now the Bullets were fighting with the ferocity of a team that did not want to be known as a club who had lost the World's Championship in 4 games. This time, the Bullets jumped in front by 14 points and were playing like a team determined to hold on to that lead, increase it if they could. Golden State lost the services of Coach Al Attles, who ran onto the floor to protest Bullets' strong-arm tactics and was banished to the locker room. But Attles' action seemed to act as a catalyst as the Warriors began the tactics that had earned them the nickname the Cardiac Kids. Underdogs all season, even in their own division, the Warriors use their bench strength and their secret ingredient. They call it togetherness. The attack was led by Barry. But it was so well balanced that as the Bullets concentrated on him, they got hurt as he passed off. The winning point came on a toss from the charity line, but the game was won the same way the Warriors had been winning all season. All their many talents putting it together for the victory. Rick Barry was voted the most valuable player in the playoffs. It's not too difficult to figure out why. Rick only led the team in scoring, assists, steals, and fired a sensational 92% from the free throw line. The Warriors returned home to a 2 a.m. airport reception. Yes, they had been called the Cardiac Kids. Later they were called Destiny's Darling. Now they were being called champions of the NBA.
So, in what many consider the greatest upset in finals history, the Warriors captured their first and to this day only NBA championship. But it wasn't exactly a blowout. They won the 4 games by a total margin of 16 points. Now, these guys were underdogs the entire playoffs, especially against Washington. And how much motivation did that provide? I mean, these guys were counted out from before the season, during the season, and before the finals, and they won the chip.
Go on. Well, you heard Al Attles talk about, and Rick, I'll let you talk about it also, about the team that he had. He had a team of no names but one star, and they came together. And you talked about what Attles told you.
Attles said that he watched the TV the night before, and they were picking the Bullets to win in 4 games. And they said there's no way this team is going to win a game, not even a game. If they do win one, it'll be a fluke.
Right.
So he told that to the team before game 1. There was no strategy session. Joe Roberts, the assistant, was going to give the strategy. He said, no, wait a minute. Whoa. I haven't slept all night after listening to this on TV. I'm going to tell you, did you guys listen to what these guys said about us?
And they had a team that everybody came together. And, you know, that's a wonderful thing for a coach because it doesn't happen often. Sometimes you have a 5-game winning streak, 7 games where they come together. But when they come together at the right time to win a title, as Al said, it's a beautiful thing.
Really quick, we're running short on time. Biggest upset in NBA history?
For championships, yes.
How about
You know,
of all time?
I can't say, because that's the last time I was correct about picking a champion. I covered that series, and I actually picked the Warriors.
You did not pick the Warriors.
No, well, we'll look it up.
Okay.
I did. We can bet on that one.
Do we have tape of you on record picking the Warriors?
Well, in a story, absolutely. But it's the last time I was right. So I don't think it was one of the all-time upsets.
For championships, I'll say yes.
Okay.
You know, you got regular season games, the first round,
right.
Playoffs. For championships, yes.
Right. Well, Rick Barry considers it the greatest upset in the history of sports. You guys, well, close. All right, we got to take a closer look at the man who put the Warriors on his back that season. Hall of Famer Rick Barry when we return.